We're on page numbers 12 and 13 in Math for Trades, going over the practice problems from the previous two lessons. So this video is going to be a little bit longer just because I want to go over some of the problems with you. I'm going to skip numbers 1 through, let's say all the way through number 6 anyway. I'm assuming you can do the addition and subtraction there. Let's jump to let's start out with number 8. So we've got 4.32, and we're multiplying that times 2. So if you remember, we multiply each of our top digits times each of the bottom. Fortunately, there's only one here. So let's just multiply the 2 times 2, and then there's nothing to carry. Then the 3 times 2. Nothing to carry, then the 4 times 2. And then where does the decimal go? Remember, we move it over the number of times it's moved in the top, and these are called factors. The numbers that you multiply are called factors. So in the first factor, we have a decimal, and it's moved over twice. There aren't any decimals here, so that means we move the decimal over 2 times. From here, 1, 2, so it's 8.64. So that's going to be the way it will work for the rest of those. Now let's get to the division. Sometimes the division can be a little tricky, and I'm going to jump down to number 11. So let me get my pen working here with blue. So we'll do number 11. 7 goes into 6.3. Now remember, you move the decimal straight up, and then you find out how many times the 7 goes into the 6, and it doesn't go into it. So how many times does 7 go into 63? Well, in this case, well, in all cases, 7 goes into 63 9 times. So then we multiply 9 times 7, 63, and we have no remainder, and we know that that ends up being our answer. All right, so let's look at one like number 14, because number 14, I hate it when they put things horizontal like that. It makes it a little more tricky to do. So if we are going to put those in a vertical manner on top of each other or stacked, remember you have to put all of the numbers lined up with the right-hand side. So I've got my columns right here. I should probably use graph paper when I'm doing this so that I'm not making squiggly lines. All right, so we add the 3 and the 7 and get 10, and the other 3, and so 3 and 7 is 10 plus 3 is 13. Then I carry the 1. Now I'm going to multiply add the 1, the 5, the 8, and the 6. So 1 and 5 is 6. 6 and 6 is 12. 12 and 8 is 20. Notice that I added those in an order that would be easiest for me. You don't have to add everything from top to bottom. You don't have to go 1 plus 5 plus 8 plus 6. You can go 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 6 is 12, plus 8 is 20. If it's easier, it is for me to do that. And we carry the 2 for the 20. Now the 2 plus the 7 is a 9, and then this 2 has nothing to add to it. And we're done there with 2903. Now when we subtract, one of the things that's important about subtraction is you can only subtract 2 numbers at a time, just like multiplication. You can only multiply 2 numbers at a time. So let's look at something like number 18. And we've got 90.08, and we're going to subtract 69.79. Notice my decimals are lined up. They have to be lined up. You have no option there, or you'll get the wrong answer. All right, so now we're subtracting. So we're going to take 8 and subtract 9, which we can't. So we're going to borrow 1 from over here. Oh, dang, but you can't borrow anything from here, can you? So let's borrow it from here. Nope, we can't do that either because there isn't anything there. So we have to borrow it from clear over here. So this is kind of the odd thing. If we borrow across zeros like that, I'm just going to tell you how to do it. I'm not going to explain the whys. you're just going to change each of the zeros to 9s. And you're going to take the first number you come to, which in this case is a 9, and you're going to lower it 1. Okay, so this becomes 18, because really what we did is we borrowed the 1 from clear over here, and then it went over here, we borrowed it, and now it's here. So 18 minus 9 is going to be 9. 9 minus 7 is going to be 2, and let's bring our decimal down. 9 minus 9 right here is going to be 0. And then this 8 minus 6 is going to be 2. And we're done there. So, very important to remember that when you're going across zeros, just change the zeros to 9s, and then when you get to the first number above 0, you lower it 1. And then remember to cross these out, so then you're just subtracting this from this number in red, not the 90.08 anymore. Okay, so that's the way 19 is done. Let's look at number 23, because again, they've got things written kind of goofy, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what you're doing here. I mean, like number 23, is it 6790 divided by 9, or is it 9 and then the 6790 is out here? You know, which of the two is it? Well, what I do to remember it is I write the first number first. So I'm going to write 6790. And then it says 6790 is divided by 9. So whenever you see the word divided, you make the divided sign. And the only place for the 9 to go is right there. So that's how I remember to do it. So 9 goes into 6. It doesn't. But it does go into 67 7 times. If you know your multiplication tables, you know that right away. Then we do the 7 times 9, and that gives us 63. And one of the things to remember when you're dividing is if 9 went into 67, then when you take 7 times 9, the 63 goes directly below it, lined up on the right. So that's 3 goes underneath that 7 because it's underneath this. Okay, then we make our line, and remember when you're division, it's always subtraction. So one of the ways I remember it, I hate subtraction, I hate division, so they both go together. All right, so 7 minus 3 is 4. 6 minus 6 is 0. I don't have to put anything down there. I'm going to bring my 9 down here because my 9 does not go into 4. If my 9 goes into this number before I bring the 9 down, I did something wrong. It should never be able to go into this number right here. So 9 goes into 49. Let's see, how many times? 5 times, because 9 times 5 is 45. Okay, so 5 times 9 is 45. And that's why it's so helpful to know your math or your multiplication tables. Now I try to take 9 into 40. 9 goes into 40 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. And I have 4 left over there. So you can write this. I mean, if you use the calculator, which I would rather you learn how to do this without a calculator, you end up having this number here. So that goes up here, and this number goes underneath. And then if you took a calculator, 4 divided by 9, you'd get a decimal place for your answer there, 754 point, whatever the decimal of 4 divided by 9 is. Okay, so let's do a couple of the story problems. Then we'll be done with me helping you with the practice. Some of this doesn't erase. That's weird. Okay, just make it go away. All right, some of these are just addition. So if you look at 29, it is 780 miles from Houston to Atlanta, Georgia. So if this is Houston and this is Atlanta, Georgia, they're telling me it's 789 miles from here to here. And 2,496 from Atlanta to San Francisco. So San Francisco is this way. And it's 2,496 miles. How many miles is it total from Houston to Atlanta and then to San Francisco? Okay, so you're making a road trip. So you're here in Houston. How far is it from here to Atlanta to San Francisco? So it's just an addition problem. This distance plus that distance is going to give you your total miles. Why you would go that roundabout way is another story, but that's how that works. All right, so I'm not going to do all of these, but just give you an idea of what's going on. 30. Ron spent $28.36 at the sports store, and then he spent another $16.09 at the deli. How much did he spend altogether? Obviously, this amount here and this amount here gave him his total, so we're going to add those. All right, so you need to buy school supplies, 32. And school supplies, let's see, you can tell this is an old book. The total cost of your school supplies was $9.06. That'll buy you about a ruler. You have $7.98. Dang, you don't have quite enough to buy that ruler. How much more money do you need? Well, this is how much it costs. That's how much you got. So the difference between these two numbers is going to be how much you need. So it's going to be the bigger number minus the smaller number. So you're just going to subtract those two, and that'll tell you how much short you are. Okay. Let's jump down to 34. Your class is selling school shirts for $15.75 each. The class sold 8 shirts during the first hour. Sorry, my writing is so bad. During the first hour. How much money was collected during that hour? Well, if they're $15.75 a piece and you sold 8 of them, that would be a multiplication. 15 plus 15 plus 15, or 15.75 times 8. That would give you how much you actually sold. You've got an 8-ounce box of chocolates, and we're talking number 35. OZ, it's weird. That is the abbreviation for ounce. There is not a Z in the word ounce. I don't know why there is in the abbreviation, but anyway, just so you know. 8-ounce box of chocolate is $9.60. How much is 1 ounce? Well, if $9.60 is the cost for 8 ounces, then if we divide that $9.60 by 8, that'll tell us how much 1 ounce is. Okay, and let's stop with number 36. It's 28 miles, 2,628 miles from LA to DC. So there's DC, there's LA. You made the trip in 6 days. You made that trip in 6 days, traveling the same distance each day. How many miles did you travel each day? Well, if it took this long to go the whole way, and you did it in 6 days, how much did you go each day? Well, it would be 2628 divided by 6 days, and that would tell you how much you went each day. Okay, so that's just some help with 1 to 36 there as you get going along, and that's it, 14 minutes later.